You're listening to After Hours FM.
Hey guys,
Hi,
we're
guys.
back with another episode, and this time it's about the white savior complex.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be connecting it to,
The Blind Side.
yeah,
It's the movie with Sandra Bullock.
well, it's a very important subject, so we have a lot of notes. So I might be looking at my iPad a lot, but just know that it's for the greater good.
She did a bunch of research.
Yeah, because guys, the white savior complex is not a new thing, and the history is crazy. And I think everyone should know more about this considering how relevant it is
Yeah.
to our society, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're gonna start with the history because what is white? It's a race. And what is race? It's a social construct, it's not real. So, race as a concept was like invented during the colonization of America, and people basically assigned skin colors to skill, intelligence, ability, social roles, and even types of labor. In some cases, this resulted in just thinking people were less than because they had a different skin color and simply treating them as such. For example, that's how they started treating black people as slaves. But in some instances, they believed that people with a different skin color were simply a less advanced version of themselves. So they believed that people of color were simply going to become white people as they, like, yeah, they would evolve into white people by becoming more civilized.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So they basically believed in Asia and Africa and Oceania that if they educated the POC to become more civilized, they would help them in a way. And some call this urge to help them the white man's burden. We still see the consequences of this till this day because most of our world still has a very Eurocentric view. So we see the European way of viewing the world as the truth, and anything that is not like Western is deemed less than, archaic, sometimes even barbaric. Cultural practices were removed back in the day, they were forbidden, and they started to just ingrain white history, white ideals, and white beliefs into the people of color, and they still last till this day. So, an example in which we can see this is the poem called White Man's Burden, which is where that term originated from. It was written by an imperialist called Rudyard Kipling during the American Philippine War in 19 or sorry 1899 till 1902. And I'm going to read you guys the first stanza of the poem. Take up the white man's burden, send forth the best ye breed. Go bind your sons to exile to serve your captives' need, to wait in heavy harness on fluttered folk and wild, your new caught sullen peoples, half devil, half child. I think this, yeah, I
Yikes.
think this says a lot about how they saw people of color. I mean, half devil, half child.
Half Devil is
Yeah,
crazy.
and he's calling upon people to take up the white man's burden. Like, come on, guys, we need to help them. We need to make them better. We need to make them civilized. We need to make them closer to white.
Oh.
And though this poem was written about the Philippines, the term white man's burden is mostly associated with different regions and especially Africa, which might be how you guys think about the white savior complex as well. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like when if I think about the white savior complex, I would just think about just people volunteering in Africa, or like I think I would associate it with Africa too.
Yeah.
Or like African American, like black people pretty much.
Oh, okay. So not just
No.
okay. So
Cuz
it's
that's what you see in the pictures, right?
that's true. And those pictures are so relevant, guys. Oh
We're going
my
to talk
god.
about it in a second.
Yeah, so yeah, nowadays we don't really use the term white man's burden because it's not really applicable anymore in most instances, thankfully. But there is, of course, the white savior complex. So, and that's the modern version of the white man's burden. So, A white savior is basically a white person who is depicted in a role that liberates or uplifts non white people. And the POC in this context are often denied agency until a white person vouches for them or saves them. And the thing is that this is not just an issue with race. A lot of feminists and post colonial scholars also argue that this is deeply gendered and classed. So basically, white women help POC women get certain things, but they don't really care about making the people of color actually be seen as equally important, intelligent, valid. It's more like making them seem closer to how white women are and therefore valid, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it often comes off as patronizing and offensive, even though it comes from a good place. And yeah, so more about the African continent. Of course, it has a long history of colonization and exploitation. And nowadays, the West often tries to help them or tries to compensate for that by sending money and sending volunteers. However, some argue that this comes off as white savior behavior and it can even be counterproductive because they can become codependent on the money and on the help. And it's still based on the idea that white people need to fix what is wrong in black societies. Even though in this case, the things that are wrong in those societies were mostly caused by the colonization and exploitation that white people did. But yeah, anyways, what is supposed to be volunteering work and what's supposed to be helping them to restore the damage colonization has brought them often turns into an almost touristic event. People post pictures of the suffering children on social media to gain traction, and these children are used like props more than human beings. They are more symbols for what the white people are doing there than they are just human beings being featured in a post.
Yeah.
And the volunteering resulted in kind of a business model that profits off of a country's issues instead of really helping those issues. Um, and it charges tourists, so white people who go there to because they want to see that world, for volunteering to be a savior.
But
Yeah.
people volunteer not necessarily because they want to be a savior though. Of course a lot of times
Mm-hmm.
they do, but I feel like a lot of times it's also because they want to explore the world. And if you're doing volunteering work, you're usually among people who are from there, and it's a different type of seeing the culture, because you are seeing it from people that are there, but then again you're also seeing it from, I don't know, I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but that's also part of the critique is that people don't necessarily go there to help them. They go there because they want to be tourists, and the volunteering is just
Yeah,
another touristic activity they can do.
true, but then it's still, you're still doing a good thing even though you might not have good, necessarily great intentions. You're still doing a good thing. I feel like
Mm,
the thing that makes it bad is the posting on social media. I feel like if you post, you might make other people go and do that for the same reason that you're doing it, which might not be the best reason to go do volunteering work.
yeah.
But if you just have that mindset in your head, but you don't post online about it,
Mm-hmm.
it won't be, I don't think it would maybe be such a widespread thing that has, really captivated the world, because this happens all over the world. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people
Yeah.
do volunteering just for the aesthetic.
That's true. And about that widespread thing, that's also a really big like reason why it's not as good as people think. We see this so often, we kind of become desensitized to it. And when we see a white child, for example, starve and we see their ribs showing, we are alarmed and we are shocked. But when we see the a black kid in the same circumstances, most people's reaction to that is not as severe. And this has a really important reason. And yeah, it's all due to the history and unfortunately slavery. So a scholar, Saidiya Hartman, she talked about the desensitization and of black suffering and how black suffering kind of turned into a spectacle. So to abolish slavery, one of the things that helped the most were slaves that managed to escape from the south to the north and then collaborate with white abolitionists to publish books in which they described all of their suffering and how they were treated as slaves in archives of slavery. And by publishing those, they kind of humanized themselves and gained more empathy from white people who started to realize, oh, maybe black people are actually human.
Crazy
Yeah,
statement.
it's really insane. One of the most popular archives of slavery is that of Fredrick Douglas. He was born into slavery around 1818 in Maryland. He was the leader of the abolitionist movement and one of the most famous intellectuals of his time. At a young age, he was forced to live in the home of plantation owners, one of whom may have been his father. At age 20, he successfully escaped up to the north. His narrative documents his experience during slavery and his life after. So, in his first chapter of his Archive of Slavery, he describes the beating of his aunt Hester. This is one of the most well-known scenes of torture in the literature of slavery, and it demonstrates that being a slave is basically to be under the brutal power of somebody else. Um, and describing this scene as graphically and detailed as possible was a strategy to get people to understand and to really empathize with him. He needed to show that Black Americans see and feel the same things and emotions white people do because that wasn't clear at the time. This scene, like many others, is often reiterated really easily. People like read it, reread it, show it to others, hear it again, hear other versions of the same story. And the first time you read it or hear about it, you might be shocked and indignated. But the second time, it's like, ah, okay, yeah, I've heard this before. Third time, oh, okay. And then the more you hear it, the less you are affected by it. You might even become desensitized to it at a certain point. So you start off by being a witness to someone's suffering, which is really important and which is what happened at the time when nobody really knew what was going on behind closed doors or be in the heads of the people who were enduring this suffering. So you were becoming a witness to a crime, which was really important in order for this crime to be stopped. However, after this crime is stopped or after you've seen it once, the role of a witness has been fulfilled and you're no longer a witness, you're a spectator. And what you're seeing is no longer a crime, it's a spectacle to you. Because you are distanced from it and you hear it so often and it's used and it use people use theatrical language to describe it, you really start to see it as a spectacle, according to Saidiya Hartman. Another example of black suffering being used as a spectacle is George Floyd. His murder. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen the video of him being killed actively by a police officer. But even if you
Have
look up,
you?
I have, yeah, have you?
No.
Have you never seen the picture?
I think I have seen the picture, but I don't think I've seen the video, and I'm not intending to go look
No,
for it.
no. No, as you should. You should not want to see that. But when this video first circulated and these pictures circulated, it was a good thing because arguably a good thing that we all witnessed it because that meant that there was proof against this and that the police officer would be punished accordingly. However, after that happened, and even now, if you look up his Wikipedia, you can see the picture of him literally getting killed by a police officer. This, if a white person was brutally killed in any way, it would not have been the picture on their Wikipedia page. That would be inhumane. That would be insensitive. That would be crazy. But because it's a black person, arguably, this is not as crazy, or this is like we are not shocked by this. Um,
But I do think also it's not just, I don't think it's just because subconsciously people view them as less than. I don't think that's the sole reason because for example, so I my study, the study that I do is pretty marketing related,
yeah,
and I one time took a course on what was it? It was called something like social force or something, but basically marketing humanitarian organizations.
Mm.
And so we all had to pick an organization and design a campaign or a poster or whatever.
Yeah.
When they want you to donate to something,
Yeah.
you always see like a starving kid or something, and it's always really shocking images, but because people show it so often, you kind of are become desensitized to it. Also, I think it's in human nature to kind of distance yourself and downplay it in a way, because I think it's a way of coping. Because
Yeah.
if you see something like that, your brain obviously wants to protect you know itself, and you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna pretend that's fake.
Yeah, or even like if you see it once, you can give a lot of attention to it and you can really like sit with it. But if you see it 10 times, you're gonna have to divide your attention into
Hmm.
10. If you see it 100 times, you become less and less, like you pay less and less attention to it. But the point here is that we see black suffering way more than we see white suffering, and therefore we are way more desensitized to black suffering
Yeah,
than we are
that's
to white
true, that's
suffering.
true. It's still shocking, of course, but it's like in the US, it's pretty common, I fear, for black people to be brutal. I did a paper on this. Did I tell you about
No, you
this on for
didn't.
criminology? I that's my minor that I did, and it was
Oh,
literally about the legitimate use of force by the police versus police brutality. So kind of when it became police brutality, and historically, I just wrote my paper about this too,
oh my God.
but historically it's always black people. Most of the time it's black people who are brutalized by people, and that is because of stereotypes that have existed for years and years and years, because policing was used to kind of enforce these racial hierarchies that have existed since like slavery, and
The invention of race as
yeah,
well.
literally since forever.
Yeah.
And um they black people are also always, not always, but like generally portrayed as aggressive and, I don't know, um pretty, yeah,
Dangerous.
dangerous, I would say. So that's why these officers also kind of approach them with a lot more, they keep these stereotypes in mind, whether that's subconsciously or consciously. They are more inclined to use violence on black people versus white people. And that's also due to the stereotype,
Yeah.
racism, literal racism.
Yeah. So it's low-key insane that even though race is made up, um, the discrimination based on race is definitely real because, I mean, they are made up traits and made up stereotypes and made up skills and abilities that are based on nothing but ignorance and prejudice thinking, but still the discrimination based on these imaginary traits is very real, and people to this day still suffer from it a
Yeah.
lot.
And I think a lot of the time it's also subconscious. Like, I'm not going to sit here and talk highly about the US police. Trust, I won't. But I feel like a lot of times it's so subconscious. The whole like racial stereotypes and stuff. It's literally, I don't think most people are like, yeah, I'm going to be really brutal to this black person because they are aggressive, because all black, like, I don't think people generally think like that.
Mm, I also don't think so, but there's also, I mean, it's been proven that if you are in a position of authority, or if you suddenly get to be in a position of authority, you literally become sadistic and
Have
get
you read
sadistic.
about that?
The Stanford prison experiment,
Yes.
yeah. And it's very real. If you become, oftentimes, officers, especially in the US, where the system is extremely black and white in the sense that if you're a police officer, you have all the power. Almost nothing is seen as inhumane behavior. You can literally get away with anything in the name of like protecting yourself and protecting society because
Yeah.
every criminal is extremely dangerous.
In my paper, I also had to come up with solutions. So one of the solutions we had was to hold hold the police accountable in court because they have body cams. And but the
Uh-huh.
thing is, courts will not, they won't take, they won't take the other person's side. Like they will believe the police. They're not it's in, they should be in, like it is in the law that the police should be held accountable and that it is
Yeah.
a fair trial, whatever. But in practice that doesn't happen because the court does not want to admit to, the law enforcement system being faulty, because that would pretty much mean that they would admit to making a mistake.
Oh my god.
So they just don't
That's
do that.
actually insane.
Yeah.
Ugh. In some ways, it was good that this video went viral, that so many people saw this, because we had so many witnesses that the court literally could not ignore this anymore. Like,
Hmm.
the proof was out there, people knew about it, they couldn't get away with just ignoring it. However, if it keeps circulating after the purpose of the proof has been fulfilled, it's no longer something to become witness to. It's just a spectacle for you to like be mesmerized by or be shocked by or show your friends and be like, "Oh my god, can you believe this happened?"
Entertainment.
Literally entertainment.
Yeah.
It's literally a spectacle.
Damn.
Yeah. And another example of black people suffering being a spectacle is the little children that get posted on social media
Oh, I was
by
waiting for this
yeah, by
one.
volunteers with a white savior complex. So the people seeing this are not witnesses because we already know that this happens. We already know that those children exist. And even if you didn't know about like little children suffering in the regions where people do volunteering work, you can read about it. You can hear about it. You can do research about it in any other way than just seeing their physical bodies in pain, in horrible
States.
states and conditions. You don't need a graphic depiction of it to understand what's happening, especially since most of us have already seen these pictures before or these kinds of pictures, but still people post them because they literally view it as something that is like, "Oh my god, look at this. Oh my god, would you believe
Or
this?"
oh my god, look at me
Yeah, "Oh my
for
god,
being a good person and helping these people.
look at what I'm doing. Look at who I'm helping. This is so crazy, right? Yeah, I'm doing that."
Keyword I.
Yeah, I. Or even if it's they, it's like, oh, look at what they are going through. This is so crazy. Look at them. Oh my god. And just putting the spotlight on them without their consent, without them knowing what's
Yeah.
happening, and without really respecting who they are as human beings or what they have been through or what they are going through, just using their current state as a spectacle.
About this because I did volunteering over the summer. I went to Brazil and it was this children's youth center, I guess, where kids went to either in the morning before school or in the afternoon after school. And it was basically designed to keep kids off the streets because it can be pretty dangerous. And that's kind of where, how they, because criminality rates are high.
Wait, what region of Brazil?
Um, it was a 6 hour bus ride from Rio de Janeiro.
Mm-hmm.
It was, the place was called São João del Rei, and um, I listen. I'm always gonna plug them because I think the organization is so amazing. It's called New Generation Brazil. They do such amazing work, and I cannot stress it enough. They've been so, like, I do think they're truly one of the good ones. Like
What
the
do you think differentiates them from the others?
um this is gonna, this is a hot take, but religion.
In the sense that,
They are Christians. The people who made
mm,
that center are Christians. Um and one of them, so it's they're married, and the husband, he's from that place. He's from Salvador, and then the mother is, she's Dutch, and they have kids and they live there and they do their work there. Um but I think because they're so religious. Not that everybody who is religious has always
Is a
has
good
these great
person.
intentions, but yeah, I do think that that made a huge difference because they don't really do it for materialistic reasons. Like they do it because he said that he wanted to help people like him because he has been in, like, on those streets and he's seen what goes on there. And it's, um if you don't get into criminal activity on the streets, you'll be a victim of criminal activity on the streets. So it's just not safe there. And when we lived there, we did not live a luxurious life. You saw the room tour. We
Yeah,
lived with, um in these really tiny apartments. We were there. It had 3 bedrooms and we'd be sleeping there with like 8 people, and we'd sleep on
the
air beds
floor.
on the floor. It was cold, there was no heating. It was in summertime in the northern hemisphere, but that's the southern hemisphere, so it's winter over there. It was cold. We had cockroaches in our room. um it was not pretty.
Communal shower,
Communal shower, we didn't even have.
a bathroom, like a toilet, right?
We had one, but we couldn't use it because we taped it off because of the cockroaches. But the point is, they had, in the organization, they had nice apartments. They just didn't want to give them to us because they wanted us to experience the life that those people there lead. Not all of them, but some of them do. And it's so mentally so hard because we had to work during the day. We were working, we were painting the school, we were helping with classes, and it was so much fun, but it was really rough because we couldn't get a lot of sleep at night.
Yeah.
And also after that, we would go do something. We went to people's houses. These people were very kind. It would be the parents of the kids who went there who would literally let us go to their house to just see what
How
was
they
up.
live.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that's so it was so they were so nice to us, and it was so good to see how it really was. And it was brutal, and I when I got home, I said to my parents, I'm so happy that I went, and I'm so grateful, and I don't regret a thing, but I will never do something like that again because living like that was so hard.
Yeah, it takes a toll on you.
Yeah, I was so exhausted, but I'm so happy that it went that way. Because you don't understand something like that unless you
Live through
live
it.
through it. And I don't even want to say that I understand it because for me it was only a couple of weeks, and I had in the back of my mind, in a few days I'm going home. But that being said, afterwards people would post about it, and we took cute photos with these kids because we were playing with them, and it was, they wanted to be on our phones and stuff. And we let them
Like
because,
you do with any kid.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, we just treated them like any kid. um but people were posting these photos.
On social media. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember I was like, "Ooh," like, I don't know what it is, but I feel like this is not really allowed. Like, why are we doing this? And then I discussed it with you because I was like, I don't think this is right, but I can't quite put my finger on it. And then we had this conversation because I also did my photo dump. I did my Brazil photo dump,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but there is no kid in my photo dump. Trust. Um and listen, nothing against these people. They are all, I know the people that I went with. They're all good people, and I do trust that they were there with the right intentions.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they comprehend that posting people's faces like that, kids, children, like, I would be hesitant to post any child.
Yeah. You're turning their what they did there was literally an escape from their extremely dangerous circumstances and lives, right? So
Yes.
you're literally turning the fact that you helped them into a spectacle and into like, look at what I did. This is so entertaining. This is so cute.
Yeah.
But I have a question because you said that you went there and they had like super nice. rooms and luxurious rooms, but they didn't let you guys use them.
Yeah.
But then what did they use the rooms for?
Um, other volunteers.
Oh.
Like they said they did say if you want to come again next time we'll give you the nice rooms. But
Oh,
just
okay.
for because we were with this organization and just for that they wanted there's also a school that goes there or yeah, they're a big sponsor in the organization, so the school gets to go there.
Mm.
And those kids also they follow a certain program. And I think they made that
Okay.
program for us too, or maybe they adapted it to, fit our schedule a little bit, but it's part of the program. And how much it might suck, I think it's really good. And I think what they're doing is really good because we didn't only we also went out to places. Like we went to see a waterfall. The last couple of days we went to Rio and we just had fun. um but he said at the end, they put a lot of time in this, a lot of time and effort, and you can tell. But they explained that it was because they wanted it to be an experience for us so that we would go on to tell people about it. And the maybe people would support their organization
Yeah.
because that's ultimately their goal, to grow as an organization and give these kids a real chance. So that being said, I'm gonna plug them again because they deserve it. New Generation Brazil. They have an Instagram and they have a website. Go check them out. Maybe even donate if you can.
Plugging them to our 10 listeners.
Because I think it's important because
Yeah.
10 is more than zero.
Yeah, true.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going on to our example that we promised you at the beginning.
OMG.
We're going to talk about the movie The Blind Side, which is directed by John Lee Hancock, and it's starring Sandra Bullock and Tim McGraw as the parents. So about the movie, have you seen it?
I haven't.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so it is an Oscar-winning movie.
Oh,
It
okay.
has also won
What
like the
year?
Golden Globe. I don't know,
Okay,
but
whatever.
I know Sandra Bullock won
Best
Best
actress.
Female Lead, I
Okay.
think. Um, and I remember seeing the movie and I really loved it. It's
Hmm.
basically about this story. It's based on the life of Michael Oher,
Oh.
who proceeded to go to the NFL with the help of his adoptive parents.
What's NFL?
The football,
Oh, okay.
football, football. Um, but
Excuse
he
me.
was able to compete there with the help of his adoptive parents, Leanne and Sean Toohey. That's for real.
Okay.
That happened for real
Okay.
in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Oher is a real person, and the Toohey family is a real family.
Mm-hmm.
They also have two other biological children,
Mm.
and they took,
Older or younger?
I think, the son is younger for sure.
Uh-huh.
I think the daughter is also younger, but she's maybe like the same age-ish
Okay.
as Michael, or yeah, I think so. Um, but they took him in and treated him like their own child.
Okay.
For real. This
Yeah.
happened for real. And in the movie, Michael comes from a disadvantaged background, like he was sleeping on people's couches and stuff. And then he came into contact with the Tui family, and
Mm-hmm.
Leanne, so the mother, really wanted to help him. She gave him she saw him walking home in the rain, so she invited him to sleep on her couch, and she went and bought clothes with him.
Oh.
And then he moved in there and he got his own bedroom there. um and then they
Damn.
found out about him being really great at football. And the dad, Sean, he's the football coach. So the high school football coach.
Oh, yeah.
So Michael was able to go into football, but then he needed a certain GPA to be able to um progress in
Mhm.
football, and in the movie he was portrayed as not very intelligent.
Oh,
um so then the Leanne, or both the parents actually, they gave him a tutor, and he was able to get his grades up and able to really get far in the NFL.
okay.
That's what happened in the movie.
Mhm.
So in real life, first of all, him being portrayed as somebody who can't read or write pretty well and who's
Oh
slow
lord.
like that really disadvantaged him in his actual career, like the real Michael, because the coach would think that he's not able to read the playbook, which I also had to look this up, but that's where they kind of write down strategies and stuff for the games that the players need to be able to memorize that.
Wait, but this movie was made while he was still alive and
He is
just
still alive. He is currently still alive. This is not a very old movie.
and they made this like while he was still like thriving in his career. Did he give consent to the movie being made?
Um, I think so. Yeah, he signed.
Oh yeah,
Uh, but
at the start.
yeah, but so that really negative, and also the movie, like, people were doubting his leadership capabilities because he's not portrayed very well in the
Yeah,
movie.
he's portrayed dumb.
Yeah, in the beginning, definitely.
Okay.
Before, you know,
Before he was
before he
saved by
got,
the whites.
yes.
Yeah, okay.
The real banger is though that in real life he was never officially adopted, even though he thought he was.
What?
Yes. So in the movie, there was this really cute, sentimental moment where he was adopted by the family. In real life, he said, I watched interviews with him, and he said basically that he they were the first people to tell him they loved him and stuff. So obviously, when
Oh
he saw that
no.
they cared for him, he believed it, because why would he not?
Yeah.
And they told him that they had officially adopted him.
They told him.
Yeah.
So they
However, they kind of manipulated him into signing to be part of a conservatorship, which I will explain, is a legal arrangement in which a court appoints a person to manage the financial and personal affairs of someone who is unable to do so themselves. So basically, the Tui family was making his finances were in their hands.
what the hell?
Yeah. So, and he found this out later, like much, much later, he found this out. So then he filed for a petition to end the
Yeah.
conservatorship, and to get his, because he didn't earn anything from the movie.
Oh no way.
Yeah. So then he got, I think he got his fair share, and he also got some compensation money. Um
Yeah, as he deserved.
Yeah. So that, I think that portrays the white savior complex pretty well.
Yeah.
Um
And it also portrays turning black people's suffering into a spectacle pretty
yeah.
well.
And there's another dimension to this, because in I saw these interviews on TikTok, and so I went and looked at the comments, and don't get me wrong, there were it depended per video, but
Yeah.
on the videos where he was talking, so his own interviews, a lot of times the comments were like, "Oh, he fell off in the NFL. That's why he's just now making a big deal out of this." Or, "Why didn't he say this sooner?" Or, "Then why did he sign the papers?" Or blah blah blah, basically blaming him.
Yeah, victim blaming.
Yeah. And then there were also comments saying like, "No, like they should be he should be compensated more, like, on his side." So there were people on his side, but I was shocked at how many people weren't. A lot of people were literally blaming him, or saying there's two sides to this story.
Oh no
I dead
way.
ass saw that comment. Dead ass people were still defending this, and You know that if it were the other way round, which I know it's hard to imagine, if it was a black family
Yeah.
adopting a white kid, or another like POC
Mm.
family adopting a white kid, and something like this would have happened,
Oh,
you would
hell would break
you would
loose.
never ever ever hear somebody blaming the kid.
No, because it would be an innocent kid. It would be a victim.
Yeah,
But for some reason, society really has a lot of trouble seeing people of color as victims, as innocent people, as people who are not
I learned
purposefully
about this in
manipulating.
criminology too.
Oh
There's
my
this
god.
concept of the ideal victim, because pretty, not to sound like demoralizing and depressing, but a lot of um a lot of issues, a lot of what's it called, offenses are not, they won't make it to court, especially like sexual offenses and stuff. It's very unlikely that they will make it to court because a lot needs to happen. You need witnesses and stuff. There's a whole process, and
Proof.
yeah, exactly. And people are just less inclined to, it won't make it that far usually. And that also has to do with the ideal victim, because if somebody is not an ideal victim, their case will also probably, will be less likely to make it to court, let alone win, get the justice they deserve. But the ideal victim is pretty much either a Caucasian child, or like girl, little girl, or an elderly woman. Caucasian.
Oh my
That's the
god.
ideal victim. That's the people who society believe deserves justice and help.
That's insane.
Yeah.
But also, like, side note, but the term Caucasian is really arbitrary because it didn't start out as meaning a white European person or a person of European descent. There, it's not a coincidence that there's Asian in Caucasian, because it used to be people from the Caucasus area.
But why did we start using Caucasian for white people?
I don't know.
Oh,
Hitler. Yeah.
bruh.
Yeah.
So what do you think about The Blind Side?
Yeah, I think it's a great example of the white savior
You should watch it
complex.
though. It's a really fun movie.
Yeah, I
I don't know, but
bet.
I don't think you could enjoy it as much anymore.
Yeah, but
I was
that's
shocked
always
when
the
I learned
case.
about this.
It is pretty shocking.
Yeah,
And I
but
hope, guys, please stay shocked. Please.
stay
Like, stay
shocked.
shocked. Like, don't get desensitized. Please. Because that's the reason why even Palestinians, which are obviously not the same as black people, a whole different type of POC, but in this world, anyone who is not white is immediately put at a disadvantage, even if the disadvantages are very different from each other, depending on the context. But for example, when we see literally Palestinian children in war losing limbs, being starved, even dying, their bodies, we don't care as much anymore because we've seen it so often. And you literally become desensitized to it whether you want it or not. The
Mm-hmm.
best thing to do is just be aware of why you're not caring as much as before, why it's not hitting you as hard. And just be aware that this is not a you problem, it's a problem of just seeing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
And the thing with the Palestinian genocide is it has to be documented. They have to post these things. We are all witnesses to the suffering of these people. If they didn't post this, they wouldn't be believed. And they're hardly being believed now, so let alone if they didn't document this. But yeah,
It's their best shot at
yeah,
getting
it
help,
is.
literally.
But just know that, yeah,
Yeah, stay shocked.
stay shocked, or at least keep telling yourself that it's not normal, even when
Stay
one.
informed.
Stay informed. So that was our episode about the white savior complex. We hope you learned something from it. And if you're white, you better share this video with everyone you know.
Do your
Do
duty.
your duty, guys. No, I'm joking, but yeah, just yeah, spread this knowledge to whoever needs to hear it. It's useful information, super relevant for the society we live in right now, super important, and it's honestly insane, a little bit offensive, a little bit shocking that a lot of people do not know about this.
Yeah. Like always, we're on Spotify and YouTube.
Yeah.
After Hours FM.
Also on TikTok and Instagram, afterhoursfm.podcast. And we also have a radio show in which we play a lot of music and
Talk
talk
a
about
little
it.
bit.
Yeah. It's on Slim Radio. The link will be in our description. And you guys can check that out. It's every 2 weeks on Tuesdays from 2:30 till 4 p.m. CET.
Yeah, and I mean our podcast episodes we release also bi-weekly, 5 p.m.
Fridays CET.
Yes. See you.
See you.